The Python Commandos Warbond has dropped into the 5.0 update for Helldivers 2 and made its way onto Superstore shelves across the galaxy. But it's that time again where we need to answer the all-important questions. Is this Warbond any good? And is it worth your hard-earned super credits? I've tested out the new weapons, donned the new armor, and bullet-maxed the Maxi Gun to find out. First, I want to talk about the highlight of this patch, that being the DBS2 Double Freedom 6-gauge shotgun. This thing packs a mean punch, dealing 70 damage per bullet, losing 12 pellets per shell. Being a double barrel, you can also toggle activating both barrels at once or fire them in rapid succession with a mean recoil value of 163. Now this is a lot of damage for a primary weapon though. To be able to dish out in a single shot, it's pretty crazy, the likes of which only weapons like the Eruptor and the Volley's total mode can match or overtake, with neither of those weapons being as straightforward. It does just as well, if not better, against armored or durable targets, sporting both medium penetration and 50% durable damage value, bringing this total per shell up to 840 with 420 durable damage at AP3. If you land a clean shot with this thing and it's vulnerable to medium pen, odds are good you're going to instantly kill it, which is exactly where a double barrel shotgun needs to be on the damage charts, considering all of the obvious drawbacks that come with this style of weapon. Being a double barrel, you've of course only got 2 shells before you need to reload, although I will say the reload speed is pretty solid all things considered, and you can mitigate this further with the Siege Ready passive for a more fluid experience. You get 40 spare shells, which is plenty, especially on city maps where resupply boxes are abundant, and you'll only really run low if you're permanently fighting for fun or against Terminids. The damage falloff on this weapon is extremely significant though, which is pretty on brand for shotguns and Helldivers, so reliable one-shot kills are only going to occur if you're within 10 to 15 meters of the target. Sporting 35 force strength as it's being called in the patch notes. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. Force strength makes infinitely less sense than calling it stagger force, so I'm going to continue calling this stat stagger force. Tangents aside, 35 stagger means anything smaller than a heavy unit you hit with this thing is not going to be able to immediately fight back due to being staggered should they survive in the first place, making it a very comfortable and forgiving weapon to run as this remains functional even outside its lethal ranges. Altogether, the Double Freedom performs at its best against the bots in my opinion, decent against the squids, and is least effective against the Terminids. Not to say it's not effective against the Terminids. More so what I mean by that is the damage of the shotgun is actually so overkill for most of the Terminids, you'd just be better off using lower burst damage weapon options that have a deeper magazine capacity. The Double Freedom, however, is not actually in the Warbond. It's going to run you 400 super credits in the Superstore. In my opinion, this is the best piece of kit to come out of the patch though. And if I was debating between picking up the Warbond and getting this shotgun, I think I know which one I would pick. Getting into the actual Warbond items though, let's start off with the armor and passive. The RS-40 Beast of Prey and RS-20 Constrictor come with the new Rock Solid armor passive, and it's really anything but rock solid in reality. You get a 100% increase to melee damage just like with Peak Physique, but unlike Peak Physique, it does not allow you to do one-handed push-ups with the new emote, making its aura directly inferior to the Viper Commando armors. Jokes aside, it also improves your resistance to being ragdolled and staggered. From the time I've spent in this armor, you do shrug off the occasional indirect rocket ragdoll or two, can't be knocked down by your allies melee attacking you, can hilariously ride on the top of the FRV without being ragdolled, tank a hit from an Alpha Commander charge although you'll still get a concussion, and sometimes have your life saved. But it's not going to keep you on your feet through the majority of causes of ragdoll in the game, and although loss of control of your character is one of the biggest causes of death in Helldivers 2, the instances of ragdoll prevented by this armor do not feel that impactful compared to other survival improvement based armor passives that you could be using instead. But that's just my opinion. And at the end of the day, armor passives are mostly a matter of opinion and personal taste. So if you're someone that absolutely hates ragdoll and would trade anything, even your armor passive slot, just to have it happen slightly less frequently, then you'll get some value out of these suits. Now let's talk about the CQC Defoliation tool, aka the Chainsword. This melee weapon unfortunately takes your support weapon slot and a stratagem slot to bring in, making it a pretty terrible choice from a min-max perspective. Although I would say this is pretty unimportant, and to be expected at this point when it comes to melee in general. They're meant to be fun weapons, even if they're not necessarily good picks, and this Chainsword intends to be a fun weapon through its complex design. It deals 300 damage per hit with 150 durable damage, but as it contacts an enemy, it continues to drag through the target, increasing in armor penetration over the course of 5 seconds of continuous contact and damage from medium pen all the way to level 5 anti-tank level penetration, letting you cut through damn near anything if you're persistent enough. This drag through mechanic also builds up the demolition force from 10 to 30, allowing it to destroy automaton fabricators, heavy steel fences, doors, and of course foliage after heating up. It also carries a light stun effect, allowing it to lock down hulks and chargers with enough contact time, dealing 5 points of stun buildup per impact, making it unironically pretty powerful for dueling, assuming you've got the space to dismantle your enemies one by one, especially when utilizing an armor passive with additional melee damage. While there is no world I would ever recommend a melee weapon take your support slot when we have so many powerful ranged options at our disposal, the Chainsword is a fun and unique addition to the game that can spice up your runs and provide many satisfying moments. Now let's talk about the AR-GL21-12, an assault rifle grenade launcher combo. The assault rifle deals 95 damage per bullet with 24 durable damage, flying at 650 RPM for a total DPS of 1029, putting it soundly in the middle of the pack when it comes to light penetrating assault rifles, with a magazine size on the deeper end of things at 40. However, the weight of the grenade launcher gives it a base ergonomics value of 30, making it significantly slower to drag onto targets than most other primary options. It also only has 6 spare magazines next to no stagger force, and only has customization options for the barrel and sight, the best of which being a compensator for its very high vertical recoil buried all the way at the bottom of the list. The ammo capacity being very apparent as an issue when compared to even the base Liberator, which brings 125 more rounds to the table. Basically, mediocre is likely the nicest thing you'll hear said about the assault rifle portion of this weapon. The value really lies in the 2-for-1 grenade launcher attachment that allows you the versatility of having a demolition tool tied to your rifle. The grenades it fires are the same as the grenade pistol, dealing 250 damage with level 3 armor penetration and 30 demolition force. If you've used the grenade pistol a lot, you know this makes it very clearly a demolition tool and not so much a combat effective one, especially being limited to only 3 spare rounds and a very lengthy reload time. Essentially, this weapon is a stock Liberator with the utility of the grenade pistol combined into one piece of equipment, making it a jack of a few things, master of none type. Not an offensive addition to the game, but nothing spectacular either. Moving on to the Hot Dog Guard Dog, this is likely to be the star of the Warbond for many, as it's simplistically just a guard dog rover with a Flam 66 torture tied to it. But because this is in fact a stratagem, it receives the bridge upgrade's enhanced combustion module benefit, bringing its effectiveness in line with the support weapon Flam 40 flamethrower instead, rapidly burning down any enemy it's set upon in seconds and cooking even the largest of foes if given enough time. Now, while this is nothing that a handheld flamethrower couldn't do, normally you'd be locked into place moving very slowly while doing so. By delegating your fire DPS to the guard dog, you get to maintain a full range of motion while your good boy takes care of the bad guys for you. Just don't try to combo the new Defoliator or any melee weapon for that matter with the hot dog, you're likely to get just as crispy as your enemies. 10 out of 10 addition for me, a solid reason to pick up the Bond all on its own for sure. Lastly, we've got the Maxi Gun to talk about, certainly a conflicting piece with a lot of, in my opinion, poor design decisions. You can't move while firing this weapon even a little, even though just being able to walk would drastically improve its aura farming capability. You also can't dive while firing the weapon, and you can't for what feels like a full second after you stop firing. Using this weapon makes me feel as though I've been in a dead-end relationship for 3 years without getting married. By that I mean, it's giving me commitment issues. So what do you get for bringing this thing, considering you can't move, It costs you a stratagem slot, costs you a support slot, and your backpack slot. You get 80 damage per bullet with 18 durable, notably this is 10 less damage than the MG43, and a very difficult to control 1500 RPM fire rate, totaling at 2000 potential DPS, slightly higher than the heavy machine gun's 1875. But with the recoil, it's very difficult to utilize to its full potential beyond point blank. Armor penetration is also sadly only set to medium, making it not particularly viable for taking down heavy targets, despite all of the expense involved in having it. You also get a fleeting 750 rounds in the backpack, but these run out pretty quickly with its fire rate, and then the fun's suddenly over. So keeping a resupply nearby or supply pack user is ideal. The Maxi Gun also has a 0.5 second spin up time before you can even begin firing, adding to its stand and deliver requirements. All of this considered, your best use cases for this weapon are defensive operations where your team's plan is to lock down an area and face off with the enemy head on, as it's pretty useless in any other scenario, and even then, you'll question why you didn't just bring a turret or HMG emplacement in that slot instead. You can also make use of the Maxi Gun as a passenger in the FRV to get around its immobility, but even this is likely to have very mixed results. To get the most out of the Maxi Gun though, it's unfortunately best to lay prone to reduce your body's exposure to incoming fire and reduce the recoil, even though standing straight up farms infinitely more aura and laying down farms 0. It's also advised to wear the fortified armor passive to further reduce the recoil and further reduce the amount of incoming damage you receive in turn for your immobility. The Maxi Gun, while something that's been requested by Helldivers since the dawn of time, is in my opinion missing the mark and needs some quality of life improvements considering how expensive it is to bring into the battlefield compared to just bringing the HMG or MG43. This covers everything you need to know about the Python Commandos Warbond. This video is a little later than I had hoped to get it out, but hopefully you found these insights helpful all the same. Thank you for watching till the end, and to my coffee supporters who help keep the channel going. I'll see you next time.